It arrived on a Tuesday, a 5-megabyte video file that detonated my life. 27 seconds of grainy, shaky footage from a Vegas hotel room. And in the middle of it all, my fiancée, the woman I was supposed to marry in 45 days, doing things that would make a sailor blush. The wedding is off. This is that story. It's funny, the things you remember. I remember the smell of burnt coffee in the office kitchen. I remember the annoying fluorescent hum of the overhead lights. And I remember the precise moment the little notification popped up on my screen. An email from an address I didn't recognize, a string of nonsensical letters and numbers. The subject line was just 2 words: Las Vegas. My first thought? Spam. Probably another offer for cheap poker chips or a timeshare I couldn't afford. I almost deleted it. Man, I wish I had. But curiosity, that treacherous little cat, got the better of me. I clicked it open. There was no text, just a single attachment, video MP4. My heart did a little stutter step. My fiancée, Olivia, was in Vegas, her bachelorette party. She and her friends had flown out on Thursday for a last weekend of freedom, as her maid of honor, Madison, had called it. I'd spent the weekend playing video games with my best man, Leo, half joking about the trouble they were probably getting into. I pictured them doing shots, dancing on tables, maybe seeing one of those cheesy male review shows. Innocent, stupid fun. The kind of stuff you're supposed to do in Vegas. I downloaded the file. My finger hovered over the play button, a weird sense of dread coiling in my gut. Have you ever felt that? That cold premonition in your stomach that tells you your world is about to tilt on its axis? You know what I'm talking about. That sickening lurch right before the roller coaster drops. I pressed play. The video was garbage quality, clearly shot on a cell phone by someone who was either drunk or just terrible at holding a camera steady. It was dark, punctuated by the obnoxious flash of a strobe light. For the first few seconds, it was just a chaotic mess of limbs and loud thumping music. I could hear high-pitched giggling. Then, the camera focused. And there she was, Olivia. Her hair was a mess, her makeup smeared. She was laughing, this wild, uninhibited laugh that I'd always loved. But she wasn't looking at the camera. She was looking up at a guy I'd never seen before. He was tall, with one of those generic, handsome faces you see in cologne ads. He was leaning over her, whispering something in her ear. She threw her head back and laughed again, then pulled his face down to hers. The kiss wasn't a whoops too many tequila shots kind of kiss. It was deep. It was hungry. It was the kind of kiss that leaves no room for misinterpretation. Her hands were tangled in his hair, his hands were everywhere they shouldn't have been. 27 seconds. That's all it was. 27 seconds of my future crumbling into dust. The video ended abruptly, cutting to black, but the images were seared onto the inside of my eyelids. I watched it again. And again. And a 4th time, just to be sure. My brain was desperately trying to find an explanation, some way to rationalize what I was seeing. A joke? A dare? Some weird bachelorette party game I didn't understand? But there was no denying it. The way she looked at him. The way she moved. It was real. My body went into a weird state of shock. I felt nothing. It was like my emotional circuit breaker had tripped. I just sat there, staring at my monitor, the faint hum of the office filling the void where my thoughts should have been. The burnt coffee smell suddenly seemed overwhelming, nauseating. I felt a tremor start in my hands, a low-frequency vibration that quickly spread through my entire body. My breathing became shallow, ragged. This wasn't just sadness, it was a profound sense of violation, a trauma that felt physical. My phone buzzed on the desk, a text from Olivia.
Hey, handsome. Just landed. So exhausted, but had the best time. Can't wait to see you tonight and tell you all about it. Love you, XOXO.
The casual, breezy tone of the message was like a slap in the face. The best time. I stared at the words, the letters blurring together. All I could see was her face, tilted up towards that stranger, her eyes full of a fire I hadn't seen in years. I thought the video was the worst part. I was wrong. So wrong. The lies that were about to unravel. That's what would truly break me. The hours between seeing the video and Olivia walking through the door of our apartment were the longest of my life. I went through all the stages of grief, but on hyperspeed. First came the denial, a desperate attempt by my brain to protect itself. It's not her. It's a lookalike. It's a deepfake. My mind clung to these ridiculous possibilities like a drowning man to a piece of driftwood. But I knew. I knew her smile, the little dimple in her left cheek, the way she crinkled her nose when she was truly amused. It was her. Then came the anger. A hot, white-hot rage that consumed everything. I wanted to smash my monitor. I wanted to scream. I wanted to call her and unleash a torrent of accusations and fury. How could she? After everything we had built. 7 years. A whole life planned out, right down to the color of the nursery we'd eventually paint. All of it. A lie. Betrayal doesn't just hurt. It fundamentally alters your perception of reality. The person you trusted most in the world becomes a stranger, a monster hiding in plain sight. By the time I heard her keys in the lock, the anger had subsided into a cold, hollow dread. My heart was pounding, a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I had no plan. I didn't know what to say or how to say it. How do you confront the person you love with undeniable proof of their ultimate betrayal? She breezed in, dropping her bags on the floor, a whirlwind of duty-free perfume and fake Vegas tan.
Honey, I'm home. God, I am so wrecked. You will not believe the weekend we had. Madison is certifiably insane.
She came over to kiss me, but I flinched back, a purely involuntary reaction. Her smile faltered for a fraction of a second.
Hey, everything okay?
I just stared at her. My voice, when it finally came, was a croak. How was Vegas?
Oh my God, amazing. We went to this incredible pool party at the Encore, saw a Cirque du Soleil show. We even took a pole dancing class, which was hilarious.
She was talking fast, her eyes bright and animated. I am never drinking again, though. Seriously. My liver has filed for divorce. She was a good liar. A phenomenal liar. She looked me right in the eye, recounting stories of her and the girls, painting a picture of innocent debauchery. And I let her talk. I let her spin her web of deception, each word another shovel of dirt on the grave of our relationship. Finally, she wound down. She looked at me, a flicker of concern in her eyes. You're being really quiet. Is something wrong, babe? Work stress? I took a deep breath. This was it. I turned my laptop around on the desk so the screen faced her. I hit play. The silence in the room was absolute, broken only by the tinny sound of the video's audio. I watched her face. I saw the moment of recognition, the way the color drained from her cheeks, leaving her skin a pasty, sickly white. Her smile vanished, replaced by a mask of pure, unadulterated panic. Her eyes darted from the screen to my face and back again, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. When the video finished, she didn't say anything for a long time. She just stared at the black screen. Who sent you that? Her voice was a whisper. Not, it's not what it looks like. Not, let me explain. Not, I'm so sorry. The first words out of her mouth were about protecting herself, about damage control. That told me everything I needed to know. Does it matter? I asked, my voice dangerously calm. Is it real? She swallowed hard. Liam, It was a mistake. I was so drunk I don't even remember half of it. The classic excuse, the coward's way out. You don't remember it? I stood up, the chair scraping loudly against the hardwood floor. The cold calm was evaporating, replaced by the simmering rage from earlier. Because it looked to me like you were having a pretty memorable time. Looked like you remembered how to use your tongue just fine.
Don't talk to me like that. It was one stupid mistake on one crazy night. It meant nothing.
Nothing? I laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. We're getting married in 45 days, Olivia. We have a joint bank account, a lease with both our names on it, and 200 wedding guests who have already booked flights. You don't get to call this nothing. The fight escalated from there. It was ugly. Years of unspoken frustrations and minor annoyances came bubbling to the surface, poisoned by this ultimate betrayal. She cried. She screamed. She tried to gaslight me, telling me I was overreacting, that I was trying to control her. She even tried to turn it around on me, bringing up a time 2 years ago when I had lunch with a female coworker. It was pathetic. And through it all, she never gave me a straight answer. Who was he? How did she meet him? Did her friends know? Every question was met with a deflection or another lie.
He was just some guy at the club. I don't even know his name, and the girls had no idea they would have stopped me.
But I didn't believe her. The video wasn't shot in a club. It was a hotel room. And someone was holding the camera. One of her girls, no doubt. The fight raged for what felt like an eternity, until we were both exhausted, hoarse, and standing on opposite sides of the living room, the space between us a yawning chasm of broken trust.
Please, Liam, she sobbed, her face streaked with tears and ruined makeup. Please don't throw everything away over this. I love you. It was a mistake. We can fix this. We can go to counseling.
I looked at the woman I thought I knew, the woman I had planned to spend the rest of my life with, and I felt nothing but a profound, aching emptiness. The love was gone, replaced by a cold, hard certainty. "Get out," I said, my voice flat, devoid of emotion.
What?
"Pack a bag. Go to your mother's. Go to a hotel. I don't care. Just get out of my sight." She stared at me, her eyes wide with disbelief, as if she couldn't comprehend that her tears and her pleas weren't working. For the first time, I think she realized that this wasn't something she could lie her way out of. She left an hour later, leaving a trail of discarded Vegas outfits and the faint scent of betrayal in her wake. I locked the door behind her and slid down to the floor, my back against the wood. And that's when it finally hit me. The shock wore off, and the pain rushed in like a tidal wave. It was a physical agony, a crushing weight on my chest that made it hard to breathe. I was grieving. Grieving the end of my relationship, the future I thought I had, the person I thought she was. But as I sat there in the ruins of my life, a new feeling began to emerge from beneath the pain. Determination. She wasn't going to get away with the lies. I needed the truth, all of it. And I was going to get it. What I found next in her laptop bag, that's what truly broke me. The first night alone in the apartment was brutal. Every corner held a memory, a ghost of the life we had built together. Her favorite mug was still by the coffee maker. Her half-read book was on the nightstand. It was a mausoleum of a dead relationship, and I was the lonely caretaker. I didn't sleep. Instead, I paced the floors, my mind a chaotic storm of anger, hurt, and a million unanswered questions. The next morning, fueled by black coffee and pure adrenaline, I started the grim task of untangling our lives. That's when I saw it. In her haste to leave, she'd left her laptop bag by the couch. I hesitated for only a moment. Was it an invasion of privacy? Absolutely. Did I care? Not in the slightest. Morality takes a back seat when your heart has been put through a wood chipper. I opened the laptop. It was password protected, of course, but after 7 years I knew all her secrets. Or so I thought. I tried her birthday. No luck. Her mother's birthday. Nope. Then I tried the date we first met. Click. I was in. Her email was the first place I looked. I felt sleazy, like a private investigator in a cheap noir film, but I pushed the feeling down. I needed to know. I typed Vegas into the search bar. And there it was. A whole thread of emails between Olivia, her maid of honor Madison, and the other bridesmaids, Jessica and Ava. The subject line, Olivia's Vegas send-off. I started reading and my blood ran cold. This wasn't a last-minute drunken mistake. This was premeditated. An email from Madison sent 2 weeks before the trip.
Okay, ladies, final check-in. Flights are booked, hotel is confirmed. I've got us on the VIP list for Omnia on Friday night. And Liv, I talked to that guy, Alex, from your gym. He's totally in for Saturday. Said he's bringing a friend. Get ready to make some bad decisions.
Alex. So he had a name. And he wasn't some random guy from a club. He was from her gym. How long had this been going on? Was this just a Vegas thing, or had it started before? Another email, this one from Olivia herself, sent the day before they left.
OMG, Maddie, you are the best. I'm so ready for this. Liam's been driving me crazy with all the wedding planning stress. I need a weekend to just let loose and forget everything. Alex is so hot, I can't even. This is going to be epic. What happens in Vegas, right?
My hands were shaking so hard I could barely control the mouse. The casual cruelty of it, the sheer disrespect, was breathtaking. She wasn't just cheating. She was using me, our wedding, our life together as an excuse to do it. The betrayal was so much deeper than a physical act. It was a calculated emotional deception. But the worst was yet to come. I clicked over to her social media messages. And there it was. A long chat history with Alex the trainer. I started scrolling up, my stomach churning with every message I read. It had started 6 weeks ago. Innocent at first. Fitness tips, workout schedules. Then it got flirty. Compliments on her form, jokes that were anything but. Then pictures. Selfies at the gym. Then shirtless pictures from him, and replies from her with blushing emojis. And then, the Vegas plans.
So you're really going through with this wedding thing?
I have to. It's too late to back out now. My parents would kill me. Besides, Liam is a good guy. He's stable. It's the right thing to do.
Stable sounds boring. I'm fun. Come on, Liv. You know you want a little danger before you tie the knot. Let me give you a proper send-off in Vegas.
Okay, but just Vegas. After the wedding, we have to be done.
I had to stop reading. I felt like I was going to be sick. Stable. A good guy. She talked about me like I was a reliable sedan she was settling for because the sports car was too impractical. I wasn't the love of her life. I was a sensible choice, a safety net. The sheer, calculated callousness of it all was a physical blow. This wasn't just infidelity. It was a character assassination. My entire self-worth felt like it had been shredded. That's when my phone rang. It was Leo. I must have sounded like death because he was at my door in 20 minutes with a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses. I didn't even have to say anything. I just pointed at the laptop screen. He read through the messages, his face getting darker with every word. When he was done, he just shook his head.
Man, I have no words. I'm so sorry, dude. She's not the person we thought she was.
She's a monster, I whispered, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. She planned it, Leo. She and her friends, they all planned it. They were all in on it. Madison, Jessica, they all knew.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to burn it all to the ground, I said, a cold, hard resolve solidifying in my chest. The wedding, the relationship, all of it. The next 48 hours were a blur of logistics from hell. Calling the venue, calling the caterer, the photographer, the florist. Each call was a fresh wave of humiliation, having to explain that the wedding was off. Most vendors were understanding, but the non-refundable deposits were a killer. Tens of thousands of dollars. Gone. Just like that. Money my parents had gifted us. Money we had saved for years. It was a bitter pill to swallow. Then came the hardest part. Telling our families. My parents were heartbroken but supportive. My dad, a man of few words, just gave me a hug that said everything.
You did the right thing, son. It takes a strong man to walk away from the wrong thing, no matter how much it hurts.
Olivia's parents were a different story. I called her mother, Sarah. I tried to be diplomatic, to just say we had irreconcilable differences. But Olivia had already gotten to them, spinning some story about how I had gotten cold feet, how I was the one who threw everything away.
I don't understand, Liam. Olivia is devastated. How could you do this to her so close to the wedding? She loves you so much.
The rage flared up again, hot and blinding. I was done being the good guy. I was done protecting her. Sarah, I said, my voice dangerously level. With all due respect, you have no idea what your daughter is. If you want to know why the wedding is off, ask her about a man named Alex. Ask her about her hotel room at the MGM Grand last Saturday night. I hung up before she could respond. The fallout was immediate. My phone started blowing up with texts from her family, from her friends, calling me every name in the book. It was a coordinated attack, a smear campaign orchestrated by Olivia to paint me as the villain. But I had the truth. I had the emails. I had the texts. And I had that 27-second video. I thought about releasing it all, sending a mass email to everyone on the guest list. A scorched earth approach. It was tempting. So damn tempting. Drop a comment below if you've ever been in a situation like this. I honestly need to know I'm not alone, and what you would have done. But Leo talked me down.
Don't sink to her level, man. You're better than that. You have the truth, and that's all that matters. Let her lie. People will figure it out eventually. Karma's a bitch.
He was right, but I still had one more thing to do. I had to face her one last time, not to yell, not to fight, but to get my keys, to sever the final tie, and to look her in the eye and let her know exactly what she had lost. This next part is where things get truly insane, so if you're not subscribed, now's the time. You don't want to miss what happens next. I arranged to meet Olivia at our apartment, my apartment now, a few days later. The goal was simple: get the spare key back, let her retrieve the rest of her things, and close this chapter of my life for good. I had Leo with me for moral support, sitting on the couch and pretending to be engrossed in his phone, a silent, steady presence in my corner. When she walked in, she looked diminished. The defiant anger from our last fight was gone, replaced by a hollow-eyed exhaustion. She'd clearly been crying for days. A small, pathetic part of me felt a pang of pity. But then I remembered the emails, the calculated deception, and the pity evaporated, leaving only a cold resolve. She didn't look at Leo. Her eyes were fixed on me.
Liam, can we please just talk about this without an audience?
She said, gesturing towards Leo. No, I replied, my voice firm. He stays. Everything that needs to be said can be said in front of him. You lost the right to privacy when you planned to hook up with a stranger during your bachelorette party. Her face flushed with shame. She started to cry again, the soft, pleading tears that used to work on me every time. But not anymore. The well of my sympathy had run dry.
It wasn't planned. I told you, I was drunk and stupid. Alex, he just caught me at a weak moment.
A weak moment? I let out a short, incredulous laugh. I read the messages, Olivia, all of them. The ones on your laptop, the ones where you call me stable and boring, the ones where you and Madison planned this whole thing out like a military operation. So please spare me the weak moment bullshit. The blood drained from her face. It was the first time she looked truly scared. She hadn't counted on me finding the hard evidence. She thought it was just the video, her word against an anonymous email.
You went through my laptop? That's a complete violation of my privacy.
And what do you call what you did?
Leo interjected, not even looking up from his phone. His voice was laced with contempt. Olivia flinched as if he'd slapped her. She turned back to me, her desperation palpable.
Okay, you're right. I messed up. I messed up worse than I ever have in my life, and I am so sorry. But I love you, Liam. I do. This whole thing with Alex, it was a stupid fantasy, a last little thrill before settling down. It didn't mean anything. You and I, what we have, that's real.
What did we have, Olivia? I asked, my voice genuinely curious. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like we had a business arrangement. You got stability, a guy your parents approved of, and in return, I got, what? The privilege of funding your life while you looked for thrills elsewhere? The words hung in the air, heavy and poisonous. She had no answer, because it was the truth. She finally broke, sinking onto the ottoman and burying her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking with sobs. Just give me the key, Olivia, I said softly. She fumbled in her purse, her hand shaking, and pulled out the key to the apartment. It was on a silly keychain I'd bought her on our first vacation together, a little silver Eiffel Tower. The irony was thick enough to choke on. She held it out to me, and for a moment our fingers brushed. I felt a jolt, a phantom limb of a feeling that was no longer there. I pulled my hand back as if I'd been burned. She spent the next hour packing her things, a silent, miserable affair. Leo and I sat on the couch, not speaking, just listening to the sounds of a life being dismantled. The scrape of drawers, the crinkle of plastic bags, the soft thud of discarded dreams. When she was finally done, she stood at the door, surrounded by boxes and suitcases. She looked small, lost.
Is this really it? She whispered, her voice thick with tears. 7 years? You're just throwing it all away?
You threw it away, Olivia, I said, my voice gentle but firm. You threw it away when you replied to that first message from Alex. You threw it away when you booked your flight to Vegas. This is just me cleaning up the mess. She gave one last pleading look, then turned and walked out the door, closing it softly behind her. The click of the latch echoed in the sudden silence. The aftermath was messy. The financial hit was significant. We were out nearly $20,000 in non-refundable deposits. Her parents, after my phone call, had confronted her. Faced with the evidence, she'd finally confessed everything. They sent my parents a check for half the amount, accompanied by a short, formal apology note. It was a gesture, I suppose, but it felt hollow. No amount of money could patch the gaping hole that had been ripped in my life. Canceling the wedding involved more than just financial loss. It was a social nightmare. We had to send out formal cancellation notices to 200 guests, a stark, humiliating admission of our failure. I got texts and calls for weeks. Some were sympathetic. Others were just nosy, hungry for gossip. I learned quickly who my true friends were. Leo was a rock. My family was incredible. But some people I thought were friends, just faded away, uncomfortable with the drama. I spent weeks in a fog of grief and anger. There were days I couldn't get out of bed. There were nights I drank way too much whiskey, staring at the walls of an apartment that suddenly felt cavernous and empty. The betrayal had left a deep trauma, making me question my own judgment. How could I have been so blind? How could I have missed the signs? It erodes your trust not just in other people, but in yourself. Slowly, very slowly, things started to get better. I started going to the gym again. I reconnected with old friends. I threw myself into my work. One day, a few months later, I was cleaning out a closet and found a box of wedding favors we had ordered. Little jars of honey with a custom label that read, Olivia and Liam, meant to be. I stared at it for a long moment, and then I started to laugh. A real, genuine laugh. It was so absurd, so tragically comical. I threw the whole box in the trash. It was a turning point. The pain was still there, but it no longer had a stranglehold on me. I was beginning to heal. Part 5. The Reflection and the Future. It's been a year now. A year since my life was detonated by a 5-megabyte video file. The scars are still there, but they don't ache anymore. They're just a part of me now. A reminder of a battle I fought and survived. I did a lot of thinking in the months that followed. A lot of soul-searching. I even went to a few therapy sessions, which helped more than I thought it would. Talking to a neutral party, someone who could help me unpack the complex layers of grief and trauma, was invaluable. I learned that what I experienced was a profound form of betrayal trauma, something that fundamentally alters your sense of safety and trust in the world. I realized that Olivia's betrayal wasn't really about me. It wasn't because I wasn't handsome enough, or successful enough, or exciting enough. It was about her. Her insecurity, her immaturity, her fundamental inability to be honest with me or with herself. She didn't want a partner. She wanted an accessory. She wanted the perfect wedding, the perfect husband, the perfect life to post on Instagram. But she wasn't willing to do the hard work that a real relationship requires: honesty, commitment, and respect. I heard through the grapevine that she and Alex, the trainer, tried to make a go of it. It lasted about 3 months before it imploded in a spectacular fashion. Apparently, a guy who encourages you to cheat with him isn't exactly the most faithful partner. Who could have seen that coming? Last I heard, she moved back in with her parents, trying to find herself. I honestly wish her no ill will. I just wish her out of my life, permanently. As for me, I'm doing okay. Better than okay, actually. I sold the apartment and moved into a new place downtown, a place that holds no ghosts. I got a promotion at work. I've been traveling, seeing friends, rediscovering the things that make me happy. The experience forced me to rebuild my life from the ground up, and in doing so, I've built something stronger, something more authentic to who I am. Am I dating again? Not really. I'm not ready. The idea of trusting someone that intimately again is daunting. The betrayal left me with a deep-seated fear of being vulnerable, but I know that will heal with time. For now, I'm focusing on myself, on rebuilding my own sense of self-worth, on learning to trust my own judgment again. It's a strange thing to say, but in a way, that anonymous email was a gift. A horrible, painful, life-shattering gift. It saved me from a lifetime of quiet misery, from a marriage built on a foundation of lies. It saved me from waking up 10 years from now with 2 kids and a mortgage, only to find out the woman sleeping next to me was a complete stranger. So, that's the story. That's how my wedding was called off. It's a messy, ugly story, but it's mine. And telling it, sharing it with you guys, feels like the final step in closing that chapter. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. It means more than you know. And if you've ever been through something similar, remember this. You are not defined by the actions of those who betray you. You are defined by how you rise from the ashes. This is me, rising. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and maybe share this with someone who needs to hear it. I'll see you in the next one.